What is up, creatives? This is Tom. Welcome back to another video. Still stuck inside, but it's obviously for a really important reason that we're inside. My hair is getting longer, but we're cracking on with content. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube, as I'm sure lots of you guys have. It's still such a good place to remain creatively inspired. And one of the video techniques that has caught my eye recently, I guess a technique that's sort of been popularized by Peter McKinnon. I've also seen a video recently with Jake Frew using this technique, and originally, of course, it's based on a technique by a director called Edgar Wright, and that is a sort of fast cut, high tempo B-roll montage. It sort of relies less on things like camera moves and slow motion and more on sound design and pace. So after seeing a few of these videos recently, I thought, why don't I try one of these videos or one of these sort of snippets myself, and then also give you some tips about how you guys can maybe go and shoot something like this by yourself. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, so I hope you enjoyed that little snippet, seeing the snippet sort of come together. So let's jump into the tips. So first of all, you'll notice that I kind of used it to transition out of the office and onto the beach. That is kind of a good example of usage of this type of thing. You wouldn't sort of randomly have this in the middle of a video. You also want it to sort of transition from one thing to another thing. It is also really nice to finish up with a still scene or something with limited motion. I also did that using the sort of coffee B-roll in the middle. A little bit of calm, a little bit of peace with some nice sound design in there can really sort of help accentuate the fast cuts and fast paced nature of the sort of scene as a whole. Next up is a shot list. I would thoroughly recommend you to have a shot list. For me, that was almost like these scenes, these things that I wanted to pull out. So I wanted something with the AirPods in, something with the camera being pulled away off my shelf, and then obviously the coffee shot list as well. Having these things pinned down before you shoot is just a real godsend. It just stops you having to almost like think of stuff on the fly and then maybe forget things later. A shot list before you start a shoot, regardless of whether or not that's just like in your house or whether or not it's obviously something bigger. If it's something bigger, you want a shot list even more, but it is still just thoroughly useful, and I would really recommend you use a shot list for pretty much everything that you shoot. So next up is obviously the sound design. Now the sound design is really central to this as a piece. So as an example, I'm going to cut all of the sound design and just show you what it looks like without it. So there's obviously a huge difference. Now let's watch it with the sound once again. You can clearly see the difference here. Now there's a few key things in the sound design that I'm going to briefly kind of talk about. I'm not going to go through the edit completely start to finish because it would take a little bit longer than in this video. But if you have any questions, just drop one in the comment section and I will talk to you about it. So with the sound design, I like the idea of sort of blending your sounds in. So I'll allow some to overlap and then some to hard cut. The sounds that I want to hard cut are things like the coffee machine. You wouldn't want that blending into the shot before. However, things like the grinder, the coffee grinder, I allowed that to blend in into the coffee machine scenes. Same thing with the beach. I wanted that to be a completely harsh cut between the end of the video where I'm sort of leaving and then the beginning of the clip where I'm on the beach. I wanted that to be a hard, firm cut. So I used a bit of ocean sound design in there on the start of that frame. There is an absolute ton and whole host of sound design effects out there. I'll link a few resources in the video description. I personally use Epidemic Sound, which is one of my favorites. It does cost, but you get tons of video music as well, so it's a really great platform that I use for all of my sound. However, I also just did a lot of the sound design myself. I recorded it myself. So I just got my shotgun mic here and I just sort of held it next to things as I maybe like took something off my desk. And by getting the mic nice and close, you can get a really high quality sound file which you can use again and again, and it's totally original. So next I want to talk about camera moves. Now there is a few points in this video where I punched in digitally on the camera move, and that was basically just to sort of add a little bit more dynamism to the feel of the video. So I did it on the punch in on the coffee shot. I also used a punch in when I was drinking the coffee later on in the video. That is very easily done. Here in Final Cut Pro, you just add a scale keyframe at the start and then a scale keyframe towards the end of the clip where you want that scale to end, and then you just get a nice digital zoom in. Shooting in 4K will allow you to just a little bit more flexibility in post like this. But there is also one camera move in here that was real. So this camera move where I sort of zoomed in on the camera on the shelf, that was actually done using a physical camera zoom. If you can get away with it, obviously use actual camera moves for this type of thing. The nice thing about this sort of tempo and pace is that you can use this type of camera zoom, just be super quick with it, and it's just really sort of helps add a bit of movement, a bit of fun to the video. All right, there we have it. Those are my tips, and my next one is just to go and try it. I'd never personally shot a video like this before. I had seen just a ton of people doing it online, so I thought, why not? I'm inside. There's no better time to try and learn a technique like this, so just go and shoot it. Hopefully you have found that video interesting and helpful. If you have any questions about the production or the edit, just drop one in the comment section down below. All of the gear that I used for this video as well is down below in there, and I'll catch you guys next time.